It is Wednesday, March 5th. We're going to do a little tapping for all the craziness that's going on in the world that's making it hard for us to navigate. Well, welcome to Wednesdays with Gene. I am the eponymous Gene Monterastelli. For those of you who are new, we get together 11 a.m. Eastern Time every single Wednesday morning, do a little gathering as a community. We do some tapping. We also spend a little time doing some teaching depending on the week and what is going on. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to be spending some time just tapping for peace for ourselves, peace in the world. We got folks checking in from all over the world. We got folks in Kansas City, Missouri, Arizona, snowy Maine. We got folks in Paris. Welcome, Pennsylvania. I'm glad you guys are here. Continue to check in the chat box. I always love hearing where folks are joining us from. To begin with, what we always do is we just like to set the table. One of the most important things, it's actually written on my mug to help me remind myself: first action, best action. What is the first action we can take? It's a good question to be asking ourselves before we step into something. What is the first action that we can be taking before we take a more profound action as we engage with something? When you are really stressed, you take a nice big deep breath before you begin. Before you have a hard conversation, you might think through what you want to say. One of my favorite ways to do that is just to do what we call in the Tapping Mastery Blueprint approach number 1, which is content-free or wordless tapping. So I'm going to invite you to do that exactly with me. Just tap on the side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath. And for the next minute and a half, all I want you to do is I just want you to move from tapping point to tapping point. And as you do that, just notice nothing diagnostic, no reframes. We're not looking for insights. We're just working our way through it. And as you're doing this, if you find yourself getting parked on one tapping point, just stay there. It's okay. There's no right or wrong way to do this. We're just looking for useful. Remember to breathe. Just take a nice big deep breath. Big stretch, move. And whenever I do tapping, one of the things I always do is I always tap with pen and paper nearby. I just like taking notes to see what came up. So as you were working your way through that, you might have had an insight. You might have had a tail ender that showed up. You might have an issue that you want to tap on later, or just something to keep in mind as we're doing borrowing benefits. If you're in a circumstance where you want to be keeping an eye on all of this and as you're moving forward, got a really easy guide called the Tapping Tracker. It is built off of the way that I track my tapping. It is absolutely free. If you just go to tappingtracker.com, you can do it when we're done here. I'll have the link down in the comments, down in the description down below. It's not there yet, but I'll get it there for you. So you can just click on that and you can just engage in that particular way. It helps you to stay on track. It helps you to keep moving forward and tapping on the regular, because every little bit of tapping helps. But it also has some really easy, efficient training on how we track and we keep an eye on our tail enders as they come up, and just as importantly, our insights. I'm actually going to invite you to add your insights to the chat box so we can do a little tapping on the insights at the end. I'm going to show you exactly how to do that. So today, as you saw in the email, as you saw in the invitation, as you saw the title of this, we're just going to spend a little time doing some tapping for peace. Peace in our lives, peace in the world. I don't know if you have noticed, things are going a little crazy at this particular moment in history. And so, what I have planned is I have just 5 really simple rounds of tapping planned that we're going to work our way through over the course of the next 20 minutes or so. Come back after the fact if you're watching this live. These will be made available so you can just keep tapping on them and tapping on them, tapping on them to make it easier for you. So, number one, what we're going to do is we're just going to start out and we're going to do some tapping just around the sense of overwhelm with everything that is going on. Tap on the side of the hand, nice, easy breath. And just move from point to point. I recognize the fact at this particular moment, I feel so overwhelmed. Things are moving so quickly. I'm being overrun with information. I'm being overrun with conflicting information. And because there is so much, that is going on all at once, my emotional state is flipping from thing to thing like an energetic golden retriever puppy. And the reason why I'm moving from thing to thing is my system just wants to understand. My system just wants me to be safe. My system just wants me to be healthy. And it is doing this because it believes if I'm aware of everything, then I can be safe. If I'm aware of everything, I can effectively respond. I recognize the fact. Knowing all the things all the time is too much. And I give myself permission to know I don't have to know all of the details to be aware. I don't have to know all of the details to be informed. I don't have to know all of the details in order to be safe. And this does not mean I'm sticking my head in the sand. This does not mean I am ignorant or disconnected or misinformed or uncaring. I give myself permission to acknowledge how overwhelmed I am. I give myself permission to be gentle with myself. I give myself permission in this moment to be allowed to take a nice deep breath. Nice big stretch. Hopefully, there's a sense of peace or a little more peace that's going through. I would love to hear one of the things that we like to do in that tapping tracker, what I do all the time is I like to capture insights. Insights, for those who are new to this, are the phrases that when you heard them in your soul went yes and relaxed into them. Or insights are I said a tapping phrase, and after you said it, your soul added something onto it, which is something that you need to hear again. If we get a uplifting, releasing, positive response to a phrase that we tap on, it has benefit beyond this particular moment. More than likely, it's a tapping phrase that you need to hear again. So, what I'd like you to do is, I'd like you to go into the chat box so we can capture them. We're going to show you how we tap on them in a moment. We're going to talk about how we're going to tap on them again in a number of months if you haven't done this before with us. And I would love to hear the insights that resonated with you as we tapped through that. An insight doesn't have to be earth shattering, profound, change the world, but it could be just a phrase went, "Ah," and you could just feel just a little release, a little exhale. Again, for me, the phrase that worked really, really well inside of that was, I give myself permission to stop and take a deep breath. I've noticed for myself over the course of the last number of weeks that I've been carrying tension and been heavy. And every single time I pause and just go, it makes it easier in that particular moment. And so I'd love to hear what are the things that showed up inside of that tapping that is good and useful for you. Let's see some of the things that folks are sharing. I don't have to know it, all the details to be informed. I don't have to know everything. I'm okay. Overwhelm is trying to track everything to keep me safe. I have the desire to feel safe. I don't need all the information in order to feel safe. Good. Keep dropping those things in. The other thing is, it's really, really important as we jot those things down, is the recognition of the fact that by writing it down, by typing it out, it gives us an opportunity to reinforce those things. At the end, I'm going to show you how we're going to gather all these insights. We're going to do some tapping on that, and then we're going to do something good with them in a couple of weeks. Remember to be sipping water as we work our way through this, or drinking water as we navigate all of that. Great. So we're going to move on to round number 2 of the 5 that I want to do. Round number 2 is just about concern for others. It's one thing to see the world spinning out of control. It's another thing for us to recognize the people in our lives, in our communities, who are directly being impacted by things around us. Sometimes when things are going crazy, we might not feel it directly, tactically, tangibly, but we certainly feel it in our heart, and we're certainly heartbroken for those around us who are suffering. Tap on the side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath. And again, just repeat out loud if you can do it. I recognize the fact. Part of the concern that I have is because I know as change is happening, inerratic, unexpected, and unpredictable ways, I know that part of my concern is that I know change causes upheaval, and upheaval can cause pain. And there are people I know, people close to me, and people I barely know are suffering because of change. And that hurts my heart. That hurts my soul. And because I want to be helpful, there's a part of me that wants to help everywhere. There's a part of me that wants to stop everyone from being in pain. I give myself permission to acknowledge the concern. I give myself permission to acknowledge the heartbreak. I give myself permission to acknowledge the suffering in the world. Hearing the pain that I am feeling doesn't change what is happening. But hearing the pain that I'm feeling allows my emotional guidance system to be heard. And when my emotional guidance system is heard, I feel the emotion. I learn from the emotion. I respond to the emotion, which makes it easier for me to make thoughtful, deliberate choices in this particular moment. I give myself permission to know the pain that I feel is simply about me wanting the world to be better, the world to be safer. I give my heartache. I give my concern permission to be heard. And I give myself permission to know I am more than these emotions. My response is more than these emotions. I give myself permission to be present and to feel. Again, nice big deep breath. One of the things that I really like to work from is this idea that fully articulated emotions are short lived. And that doesn't mean that we're escaping them and we're forgetting about them. But the emotions we feel so often are our alarm system trying to point something out. And sometimes the alarm is just going off and going off and going off, and we already know what is going on, but we need to give it permission to be heard. So, once again, I would love to hear what are the insights, the things that came bubbling up inside of you, the phrases that rung true, the tail enders that showed up. For me, the powerful phrase was, I give myself permission to feel my emotions. Particularly in a time of struggle, but just in general, there's a part of us, particularly when we're being active, as we push through the emotion and take action and overcome what is going on. And that is good. And there are times in which I take my emotional experience and I put it in a little box and I put it up on my shelf over here. There's actually a space that it slides right into so I can be present to the task in front of me. But also, there are times in which it is useful, it is powerful, it is amazing to just simply feel. So, I would love to hear. And again, by typing it into the chat box, you're doing two things. One is you're giving us an opportunity to revel in your insight so we can learn from it as well. But number two, you're getting a chance to reinforce it for yourself. So often when we tap, something comes through and it floats away. So much so that I'll be working with a client and they'll say that again. And I'm like, I don't know, it's gone as quickly as it came. Capturing those ideas is going to be useful for us. So I'd love to hear what resonated with that round of tapping with you. Let's see what we got going on over here in the chat. Um, I don't have to know all the details. Permission to be heard. Permission to be heard. I give myself permission to learn and respond to from my emotions. I love that. Oh, just a big heart. Permission to feel emotions. Awesomeness. Keep adding those things in. Even as we move on, make sure we're capturing the stuff here because it's going to be good and useful for you to reinforce it for yourself. Excellent. Number 3. Tippy top of the head and just move from point to point. I recognize the fact. There is a part of me that is afraid that things are actually going to get worse. And because this part of me is afraid that things could get worse, it is catastrophizing. And it's thinking about every possible thing that could go wrong. And my emotional self is responding as if every single one of those possible outcomes is going to happen. And I recognize my subconscious mind just wants me to be prepared so that no matter what comes, I can be safe. I give myself permission to know that I can be safe without worrying about every possible outcome. I give myself permission to know that I can be prepared without worrying about every possible outcome. Worrying about every possible outcome does the opposite of keeping me safe. Instead, the worry spends so much energy which makes it hard for me to be thoughtful and deliberate in the moment. I give myself permission to know it is possible for me to be thoughtful, to be deliberate, to be kind, to be compassionate and responsive without having to solve all the problems all at once. I can be responsive without thinking of everything that could go wrong. I can be proactive without thinking of everything going wrong. I can be present without having to think of everything that can go wrong. Letting go of future worry doesn't make me unsafe. It positions me to be more prepared. Nice big deep breath. Again, what's the phrase that resonated with you? Drop it in the chat box. I'd love to hear the part that churned and brought a little uplift for you. For me, it's this idea of recognizing that being prepared is about where I'm standing. It's not about having all of these plans to respond to what is going on, because I respond to the unexpected all the time without having contingency plans. So again, I'd love to hear the things that are resonating with you as we're tapping through this. Again, don't forget to sip some water as we're doing this. Hmm. And again, give yourself permission to stretch and move as all of this is showing up. Excellent. So keep adding your stuff into the chat box. We're gonna tap on a whole bunch of it at the end. Um, Two last things I want to tap on as we work our way into this. The first is a piece of vocabulary that I got from my buddy Rick Wilkes, and that vocabulary is vibrational leadership. And so, in the face of hard things, what can we do to position ourselves as vibrational leaders? Tap on the side of the hand, take a nice big deep breath. I recognize the fact I am not the only one who is struggling with what is going on. I am not the only one who is concerned. And I recognize the fact that when I take a moment to ground myself, when I take a moment to be present to my humanity, I show up in the world as a vibrational leader. I show up in the world as a beacon of grounding. And me being grounded makes it easier for the people around me to be grounded. Me connecting peacefully in this current moment makes it easier for others as well. Give myself permission to know that like ripples in a pond, when I drop a tiny pebble of peace into my soul, It ripples out in simple and profound ways. And every drop and ripple of peace joins the chorus of other peaceful hearts. One drop of peace adds to the sea of peace. I give myself permission to add to the symphony of peace and love. I am not alone and wanting better and wanting there to be peace. And I give myself permission to remind myself of that, to remind myself of that, and to remind myself of that. Creating peace in my heart doesn't change everything, but it is useful. It is powerful, and it can be a beacon for others. Nice big deep breath. Again, what are the things that showed up inside of that are useful for you? I can still remember the first time Rick shared that phrase with me, vibrational leadership. And it just immediately struck a chord because I know what that's like. You know what it's like when someone who's chaotic walks into a room and you can feel the worry, the anger, the overwhelm. But the same is true when someone who is peaceful, who is calm, shows up in a place. You can just feel everything settle. So, what are the things that are showing up for you inside of that? Again, we're going to tap on a whole bunch of these insights in just a moment. I got one more general round of tapping, and then we'll step into that, and I'll show you how we use these insights for those of you who are new to us. Excellent. Keep adding the stuff there. We're going to do one last round of tapping, and it dovetails off what we just did there. Right now, I feel really alone, but I recognize I am not alone. As I tap along to this, live in the moment with people from all over the world, or after the fact in the replay, I am being joined by others who also want peace in the world. Those who sow chaos, those who sow hatred, can only achieve that if they also sow division and isolation. Even though I feel alone, I am not alone. Even though I feel separated, I am not separated. There are billions who want peace. There are billions who want connection. There are billions who want to engage in love. Feeling alone and disconnected is an illusion. Feeling like I am the only one who cares is an illusion. I give myself permission to recognize there are more people pursuing love and peace than there are those who long for destruction. I give myself permission to trust that I am not alone, to feel that I am not alone, to remember I am not alone. It's easy to feel disconnected. And feeling disconnected is not a failure. Those who want chaos want me to feel disconnected. And I give myself permission to feel connected in this moment. Nice big deep breath. Can just notice, just feel. And we live in amazing times in this moment. For those of you joining us live or joining us after the fact and time traveling back to this moment, we are connected. We're in community, even though we can't see each other, except for little icons maybe popping up in the chat box there. We are not alone. We are connected. Let me know. Drop into the chat box the things that resonate with you. So, for those of you who are new, again, we talked about the tapping tracker, and one of the things we track in the tapping tracker are insights. And over my shoulder, right here, I'm going to highlight him for you. I got a little bitty vase right there. That little vase was made by Liza Skinner, who is an amazing comedian and writer. She works under the handle of Booberry Jones, named after her dog, on Etsy. And so one of the things that I do at the end of all of these sessions, we're going to tap on the insights, but I capture all of the insights and I stuff our little buddy who still needs a name full of those insights. And every 6 or 8 weeks, what we do, we did a couple of weeks ago, is we dump all the insights out. Like I said, I'm going to copy all of them and we're going to tap on them in the future. But this is what it looks like right now. So what we're going to do is we're just going to take a whole, oh, that is not what I wanted to do. Sorry about that. There we go. I'm in the wrong spot. Let's just take a whole bunch of the insights and all we're going to do is just move from point to point and tap along with me as we incorporate these insights. Move from point to point. I recognize the fact. No matter how overwhelmed I feel, in this moment, I am okay. And the overwhelm that I'm feeling is just a part of me that wants me to be safe. And I give myself permission that I do not need to know everything to be safe. I give myself permission to know that I can resist and take care of myself. I give myself permission to have all of my emotions, to be heard. I simply give myself permission to feel because my emotions want me to be safe. There's a part of me that wants to help everyone in pain. I'm glad there's a part of me that wants to help everyone else. As long as there is a desire to be helpful, it means that I have not given up hope. As long as I want to be helpful, it means that cynicism has not won. I give myself permission to know that I can be prepared. I can be safe without having to know every detail. I give myself permission to know that I am not alone in wanting better, that I can add to the sea of peace, that I can add one more ripple, that I can add one more note to the chorus of peace. I want to become a beacon of peace. And that does not mean I'm perfect. That does not mean I get it always right. It's okay that I don't have to do it all. I am not the only one. There's so many others who are doing this with me. My feeling of disconnection is an illusion. My feeling of disconnection is not a failure. I give myself permission to seek connection today. In big and small ways. I give myself permission to be present, to be connected, to be hopeful, to be authentically me. Nice big deep breath. So, in the tapping tracker, one of the things I am always doing is I'm dropping down those tail enders. You can download it for free. We got a 30-day version, we got a 90-day version, we got a PDF version, we got a Word version, so you can tap right into it. But what that does is it makes it easier for you to take these moments and to engage with them. You can also come back to this. We're going to have this up. It's going to live on YouTube forever. Come back and tap on this again. When you're feeling disconnected, when you're feeling dysregulated, when you're feeling out of peace, please come back. Please tap, please tap, please tap. Because every single time you do a little work for yourself, you do a little work for all of us. Every single time you release, you feel you're present to your emotion, you're not just taking care of yourself, you're taking care of this interconnected web that we all are. Awesomeness. Well, before I send you on the way, I just got a couple of footnotes. So I always like to talk about footnotes and things that are waiting out there for you. Over the course of the last couple of weeks, we've actually created a number of free resources. These are training manuals that have step-by-step tools that are absolutely free. All the links are directly down below in the description. Grid, tappingqa.com/grid, is I created a grid on how you can uncover tail enders. There's a worksheet. It walks you through. If you go through and you look through these 16 lenses, it's going to make it so much easier for you to create transformation and healing because you're going to know exactly what to tap on. Tappingqa.com/emo. That was a resource that I created on how do we get a better relationship with our emotions. We did a lot of tapping on that today, how it's easy to feel overwhelmed by what is going on. Tappingqa.com/state. We actually did the live stream we did last week. We've created a whole resource out of that. How do you change your state? Not how do I feel my emotions be better? That's one type of tapping. Not how do I change my identity and my beliefs, but that core level. How do we change that? Also, tappingpodcast.com. Episode 652 is going live in the next hour or so. There's an entire library, over 250 hours of free training waiting for you. And for those of you who are new, we are here every single Wednesday at 11 a.m. Eastern Time. You can join us live. You can watch the replays after the fact. They live here forever. Next week, what we're going to do is going to be a little more tactical. Today was emotional tapping. Next week, what we're going to do is we're just going to talk about how can we use tapping to take more persistent action. It's great for us to feel grounded. It's great for us to be in a place where we are emotionally more engaged with what's going on, and for us to create change in the world. The way we feel is useful, but the action that we take is useful as well. If you haven't done so already, directly down below the video, click the little thumbs up button, subscribe to the channel. One, you can get notifications. We go live all the time. We post videos all the time in addition to these. The other is you're training the YouTube algorithm to say, hey, tapping for peace is something other people need to be available to them, and it'll show up as a recommendation. It's super easy. It makes a huge, huge difference as we engage in all of this. Thanks for hanging out with me live on a Wednesday. Thanks for joining us after the fact. If you are watching this after the fact, on screen right now, you can see the list of all the lives that we have done here. I look forward to talking with you and tapping with you again real soon. We'll be back here at 11 a.m. Eastern Time next Wednesday. Bye-bye.